Alright, up for a review today is this LED solar light. This is off of Amazon and it has pretty good reviews. This would be my first look at this one too. I'm gonna get it open here and we'll take a look. And you know, I mentioned this in a lot of my videos, and I'll reiterate here, a lot of times these lights and stuff, when the box isn't branded, they're sold under multiple sellers and brands. You might find them on other sites and everything as well. So keep that in mind. I will mention what it's listed as on Amazon for the one that I picked up. But you might, oh, spilled my coffee. But you might find this under other sellers if it looks identical to this, because it's a pretty unique one too. If it looks identical to this product, then it's probably the same exact one. So I wouldn't hesitate too much to use this review and apply it to other brand names, since this is a generic unbranded product. So 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the 200 watt version. Looks like they got the 400 watts. I do like the little remote on this one too. Where did I set that down at? Here it is. So it's a little, I have a bunch of these, like solar lights. A lot of them come with this little cheap flat remote. This one's actually kind of neat. It's kind of thick and like a regular remote, if that makes sense. Like, it's not one of these deals here. They're flimsy. It's actually a nice little, feels good in the hand. Got interesting buttons here. I guess we'll go over those. And does not include a battery, but it takes 1 AAA. And then, like a lot of these, it does have a charge indicator, so you can see a little red light here that is charging. This design is very unique. I've actually reviewed a lot of these. I haven't seen this design yet, so it's very interesting. So you've got this ABS like hard plastic, and instead of having it sealed and have, like, you know, the integrated IC like within an enclosure and stuff where you're going to get humidity in eventually, because none of these are built like a tank, you know. You've got this interesting sandwich design that's completely fully integrated and sealed into a plexi-like coated single piece, right? So you've got these pretty good size panels on the top, but then on the bottom you have additional panels. Now, I think the idea is here, instead of, you know, using reflectors, it's trying to reabsorb some of that light on this additional panel space, because this is not the same panel on the other side. It's actually a sandwich. Like, you can see the type of panel it is based off of the color. And if I'm pretty certain that this is going to absorb on both sides, but I could be wrong, but I think it will. So what it'll do is kind of recapture some of a certain percentage of the light that it's given off during use, and maybe even some, it's kind of low, not that good when it's not direct sunlight, but even in the daytime when the light is just reflecting back up at it in general, it's going to recapture some light that way too. And then you've got this LED array here, and over here you have like a status indicator, and you have probably the light sensor and then power. Now, that does appear there's some integrated circuit in here, so it might not be fully sealed, but this is definitely a different, unique design here. And since it doesn't really have like a big gasket, I'm thinking that I can see a little bit of silicone here, so maybe there is an exposed circuit underneath here, but it appears like they sealed it. I'm gonna turn it on. Wow, yeah, that's pretty good. Now, I'm gonna say right away, there's no reflector, so it feels like a area light, not a spotlight or street light. Because street lamps aren't typically diodes without reflectors, right? If you have a reflector, what it's going to do is concentrate and refocus that light in a certain degree spread and in a certain area depending on how many feet away from your mounting surface, right? So if this is mounted 20 feet up in the air and stuff, it's just going to be this really light, like area light. I wouldn't expect it to be overly bright. I won't be able to tell for sure till it's nighttime, but honestly, I can tell just based off of this design, you're probably going to want to mount this at like 8 foot and have it lighting up an area. Use it as like an area light rather than a street light. A street light, I don't know how well this is going to do. Like, it's daytime, but I can kind of tell that this isn't going to be like if you plan to have activity wherever you have this mounted, I wouldn't expect to have it be a good light for that purpose. This is a good safety light or a light for an area light where you're going to have activity, but then the light isn't mounted up too high and it's not going to cover as much ground, right? So you might be looking at like a maximum 15-foot radius or something like that. But so another thing I'm going to point out here is I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive now that it is charging on this side as well, because I still have light and we're sitting it flat against the table. There really shouldn't be much light getting to the panel on the reverse side. And so, you know, with this covered up, if it's still showing a charge occurring with that LED, then it certainly should be charging on both sides, which is kind of the only thing that makes sense anyway with this design, that they would do that on purpose, right? Like there's a function for it. Actually, I really like the design of this, and it's got some heft to it, so hopefully it's got a pretty good sized battery in there, because it feels like it does. Now the mounts, on the other hand, it's that thin metal that you get with a lot of these. It's not the worst I've seen, but it's not the best. The welds actually look pretty good. They look better than a lot of them. You got your standard sink stuff, sinkers here that nobody ever uses. And then it does come with batteries for the remote. So let's take a look at that real quick. I thought it only took one. Let's see. I guess it does take 2, which is interesting. It's not unusual for like a TV remote or something, but for such a small remote, normally you don't see 2 AAAs. You see like a coin cell or a single AAA. So maybe it'll last a while. And this does have an IR emitter. It's not a fake one where it's just a LED for a wireless setup. So that means this is not a light sensor. This is an IR receiver. And what it's going to do to turn on is when it doesn't sense light or a charge coming through the, well, I would have to assume the top panel, it triggers it to turn on, because I don't see any light sensor on this side. So I'm just going to assume that's what that is. Which you think would not cover it up, it would have turned on, which proposes an interesting question, because if this turns on and then these absorb light on this side, would it not be in a feedback loop and not turn on? So I'm wondering if there is a light diode, like a photo sensor, I should say, hidden in here somewhere. I'm really not seeing one. Maybe it uses the voltage, like if it's over a certain voltage threshold, then it'll cut on, because it's just not making a lot of sense to me right now as far as the function of it. Cover up this side, see if it shuts on or something. Turn off a couple lights. See if it stays on. So it appears to be staying on. Oh, no, it cut off. That's interesting. There isn't a lot of artificial light in here right now. Oh, here we go. Yeah. I guess maybe I was wrong. Maybe the IR sensor is in here, and this is a light diode. It's really hard to tell. Such an odd way of doing it. If the photoreceptor is in here, and it is, it's kind of weird to have a photoreceptor right beside where LEDs light up, but it's working, so clearly they have something in there to shade it from the LED, so that it doesn't kind of cut on just because it's cut off just because it's getting a little bit of a charge. interesting. But yeah, I like the design. Definitely worth making a little review video for. I like this product. I'm gonna put it to use, and it has good reviews. I didn't see any updates where people came back and said it stopped working on them and stuff. Interesting, like mounting flange design here. So normally you would have holes right in this, but this has like a flange, and it fits in the flange and then tightens down. So you wouldn't be able to. Trying to think of what the reasoning would be for that, because you have this, which typically goes on the backside of a pole, and then it usually mates up with the holes on the mount, but clearly that's not happening. Am I missing something here? Huh. Nothing in the instructions. Yeah, I didn't catch that at first, but I really don't see how this is going to work. Because I guess you're supposed to bend it yourself, maybe, and then these will kind of match up. That must be it. That's unusual. Normally, it comes with a flat flange that's the same size as this one, and that gives you a lot of different options as far as the size of your pole. But on this design, only thing I can really see working would be to bend this around the pole until it comes and lines up with these holes, and then you can tighten them down, which, by the way, these are not lock washers, or I mean, these aren't locking nuts, and there's no lock washers. There's no regular washers either, so those are going to come loose over time. Yeah, I don't like this, but I do like this. That's the bad part, because this is kind of hefty, and this ain't a bad design. So this would work good for post mounting or flat surface mounting, but then pole mounting, maybe not. Maybe come up with something different. Yeah. But there's always some caveat, right? But I like the product, though. I like the design. I think it's unique. It's different. I've got like 20 of these, and none of them are designed like this, so I like it. I think I can recommend it. See if I can't pull up the information and give you a brand name real quick. Let's see here. Bear with me. Of course, it's only when I'm in the middle of something like this that Amazon wants me to relog in and stuff. Alright. So the brand for this one is Locontifni. Man, they come up with some crazy names. But this would be it. And it's definitely not a cheaper one I've looked at. So for 90 bucks, I would expect that battery to be large. And I guess it would this composite and the way they've done this stuff here does have some manufacturing costs associated with it. So I don't think I can really fault the price. Now it says size 3,000 watts. No, it's not. Okay, you're not getting 3,000 watts out of this thing. But the design is quite nice and different. I like it. Be great for like a garage. The design looks nice. It would look nice on a garage.